Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Library News Podcast. This is your place for the latest news on all things new about the library, our resource developments, and of course, going off on a tangent. All in all, it's a nice gentle chat, and you might learn something, and very possibly be entertained. My name is Paul, I'm the Customer Service Librarian, and I work across both London campuses.
I'm Eva, I'm the Library Learning Advisor, and I also work across both London campuses.
I'm Annie and I'm the Library Learning Advisor at Manchester.
So to kick off this podcast, what's been going on with you guys for the last month?
Not a lot, to be honest. It's been busy in the library, especially at London. I think everyone's finished their assessments that they were having in January, and now they're back in the swing of it. So we're getting lots of students at the desk asking us weird and wonderful questions, which is nice.
Well, I finally boxed up all of our old books, which had been lingering for many months. So that's what I've been up to.
Nice.
Are you? We've got a lot of books to box up as well, and we send them off to a company called Better World Books, who then distribute them. What does anyone actually know what Better World Books does?
So I know that they recycle them, but I know that in the past they have actually gone on to like TV shows and stuff like that, which is quite interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what Terry told me. If they need if they need law books in on a shelf in a set, like a film set, they'll sometimes use those books because obviously they can't tell that they're out of date.
We should try and mark some of the books in a way we'll recognise them.
Yeah.
Start pouring through shows. So I've actually got I think it is quite exciting news. I went down to the security desk at Bloomsbury yesterday and I came across our facilities team. And Curtis, who works at the facilities, he told me about a sound booth that is in one of our other buildings at Bloomsbury. So it's we've got our Store Street building, we've got Ridgemount, and then just round the corner there's another part where the media team used to be. Now they don't work at the Bloomsbury campus anymore, but they had constructed a sound booth for doing the voiceover stuff, and he said we could possibly use it to record our podcast. So I know, Annie, you're up in Manchester, but there has to be a time when you come down and we all just gather around the table, because it's all like properly soundproofed and everything. It's got an actual proper microphone. So
I would love that.
Yeah, that would be just so cool, so we can actually do it properly. It's like we're moving into the big time, guys. It's great.
We've made it.
But thank you very much. Yes. This is when it really starts. But yeah, thank you to the facilities guys for showing me that. That's great.
And they had listened as well, hadn't they?
They had, apparently, which is amazing.
I know. I worry sometimes that we're just talking to the abyss, but love the fact that Curtis listens to it. Shout out to Curtis.
Shout out, definitely. So moving on from that very exciting news, it's probably time we got on with what we really want to talk about today. So obviously the University of Law is mainly, or it feels like it's mainly just about the law programs, which is all fair enough. It is called the University of Law after all. But what people might not know is actually we have so many other courses going on around the country. And as part of that, the library team has been evolving and developing. And so the librarians are actually now called Programme Lead Librarians, because they're focusing specifically on the individual programs. So you might have someone looking after the LPC programs or SQE programs in law, and then there's other people who are looking after like psychology. But one of the most exciting bits of news we've had recently, and it particularly involves our podcast team, is that Eva has been promoted to a Programme Lead Librarian and is now in charge of business. So I mean, that's very exciting news, Eva.
Cat's out the bag.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'll be looking after business, our foundation program, our international foundation program, and potentially the legal apprenticeship programs as well. So it's all new. No longer an LLA. I'm now a PLA, Programme Lead
A
Librarian.
PLA. A la 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 to a PLA.
Yeah, exactly.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a bit about what do PLLs do, as in, you know, just as a generic form of that role, and then what specifically you might be up to with it?
Yeah, so as you were saying, we're constantly trying to evolve and make sure that what we're doing is relevant to all our students. So part of the Programme Lead Librarian role is to look after a programme and work with the programme leads and the designers of that programme. So the tutors, the senior tutors, people who are in charge of those programmes, and embed our library content into it. So instead of how the library is at the moment, it's a little bit of an add-on service where students can choose when or if they engage with us at all. Whereas what we're hoping to do within the next sort of 5 years or so is to become an embedded service. So we would come into these programs, come into the actual classes that you do and deliver content. So this could be if you're in a law program and you're doing the PLR assessment, practical legal research. It would involve the library going in and teaching potential skills you would need to do that program. So, using Westlaw, Lexis, business, very similar thing. We would just be in the program rather than been on the side of it, if that makes sense. So my job, I start in March, so we're recording this in mid-February, so I have a couple of weeks, but what I'll be doing is speaking to the program leads for business, international foundation programs, etc., and figuring out a way that we can work together to embed our library content. It's really exciting for me because that's the kind of work I really like doing, is making content for students. And then, of course, the other side of the job is looking after the actual campus library. So I'll be working with Paul, looking after Bloomsbury and Moorgate, which will be very fun.
Yes, I think that's going to be the most important part of your role, obviously, working with me. But you've already actually started working with some of the business course designers, haven't you? Because you've been working on their reading lists and stuff.
Yeah,
so you've already sort of got a head start.
Yeah, I actually had an email from one of the course designers on that this morning asking for help. So I was like, oh, I'm already doing this job already.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, we did in January, we did a interactive business induction. So usually, if you're new to the ULaw, you'd know that our library inductions are sort of tagged on to the welcome talk when you first start here. And it's very quick. We're always really aware that we don't want to overload people with information on their first day. But what the business lot wanted to do at Moorgate was to actually have an induction where students could follow along a process. So instead of, this is the library website, this is where you can find this, this, and this, they would log in onto their computer and follow along as we did it. Which actually was much better because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I've been in an induction before, you see a lot of people glazed eyed and really not loving their life, which is fair enough. As a library induction, it's never like the most exciting thing.
Yeah, I think you always learn a process better if you do it at the time you're being told to do it. It's like whenever I've do one-to-one training with students, I always sort of put them on the computer and sort of tell them or show them what to do and they do it themselves rather than they're just following what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's part of the actual sciencey part behind it is it's active learning. You actually learn a lot better by doing, because then you have sort of a muscle memory of it all, and you understand the process better. If someone's telling you how to do something, you might take some of it in, you might take none of it in, whereas if you're actually doing it, it works your brain better, and that's how a lot of people learn. Not everyone learns the same, of course, but for me, I think people are much better just doing the thing rather than saying, oh, this is how you do it, watch me do it, because no one's going to learn that way. But yeah, so it's all very, very exciting. I'm really excited to get started now.
I feel like it's not even my job and I'm so excited for you.
as wonderful news as that is, let us continue with our discussion, which, as I was talking about, was the various different courses at the University of Law. And each course actually has its own bespoke web page on the library website, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have expanded the courses quite a lot, actually. So I think they're on the online collections, right?
Yeah, so actually, if you head to the library website, library.law.ac.uk, in case you didn't know, and if you then click on collections, you've got every single course does have its own little tab at the top of this page, and if you just click into them, you'll find key resources that have been highlighted. You'll find whichever databases are relevant to your course, your manuals and textbooks, or there should be some links to there, and also I quite like this that they've put on. So they've got relevant podcasts for each section, not ULaw branded podcasts. It's good, that, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I've just seen that. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Didn't know that they'd done that.
I think the policing one actually has some. If you're into your crime, there's some good ones there.
Oh no,
that would
UK
be
Cop podcast.
Oh, really?
Probably got a lot of
Cheshire
interesting
Police
stories.
Federation.
Find out what all the cops are doing in Cheshire.
I know.
And then if you click on the criminology page, you've got this one. Sounds like it could be quite interesting. Maybe it's a bit more of a storytelling one. It's called Once Upon a Crime.
Oh.
You see, I'm not sure we've been through these pages in that much depth ourselves. So, do look through the library website, because you never know what you might find. There's some good things here. Yeah, definitely.
Also, it's making our name seem very unimaginative.
We did have a long discussion about our library podcast name one time. It went so well, we stuck with Library News Podcast.
Well, I mean, it does what it says on the tin.
Exactly.
Keeping it simple. So obviously, psychology is one of our new courses as well that has its own tab on the library website in the collections. Me and Eva recently did some training on the psychology course that's going to be implemented soon. Actually, I think it is already started.
Yeah, so it's
online
started
at the moment.
And I think in September there'll be a face-to-face
intake
at Leeds. So Leeds, I think, is going to be the sort of psychology hub for a bit, which is great. But I thought it was really interesting, actually, to learn about all the different resources that they're going to be using. But one of the main things that we learned during this training was that there is a different way to search for resources that can be very helpful for psychology students, called PICO searching. Have you guys heard of this before?
The first time I heard about it was in that training session.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either. I guess I haven't really studied psychology enough. Well, definitely not at this level.
No, definitely. But it makes sense when you think about it, because obviously medical fields are different. The way that you search for information generally is different, but for psychology, it has to be very patient orientated. So PICO searching is a way that you can build a search string that can be helpful to find information on how to treat a patient. So PICO stands for P, population / patient, I, intervention, C, comparison, and O, outcome, which sounds a bit weird. But so say if you were looking up information on a patient that had chronic pain and was suffering from depression, and you wanted to know how that you would treat that through mindfulness, and you wanted to find articles or information relating to this, the search string would be, so population patient would be chronic pain and depression or anxiety. So you're getting all the information on the patient there, but also putting a synonym, depression or anxiety. Not that they're synonyms, but they're relatively around the same area. Then you would have your I, so the I would be intervention, so you want to treat them with mindfulness, so it would be and mindfulness. And you're not looking for a comparison here, so the C is irrelevant for this search string, but the actual outcome that you want to see is improvement. So you're looking for information on someone who is in pain, has depression, so that's that search string, want to treat them through mindfulness, so that's the I, and improvement would be the O. So it sounds really confusing, but it's actually a really...
No, it feels like that makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just a really efficient way of searching. So instead of sort of fuddling around all these databases and trying to figure out, searching through lots and lots of information, you build a search string that's relevant to your patient, which I think is really cool.
Well, moving on from that, we've just got a little time left in our podcast, and it's something we haven't done for a while. So I wonder what you guys are reading at the moment. Any good books you've come across really recently? Because, we are a library podcast. We should talk about reading occasionally.
Oh, well, I'm reading a book series, but I don't think I should admit it on the podcast.
Oh, this is intriguing.
Well, so it's just this really trashy book series that's apparently viral on TikTok, which I don't know because I don't use TikTok.
Ooh.
But apparently it is very big with the TikTok girlies. And it's called Magnolia Parks. It's like a 4-book series, and it's basically, it was advertised as, if you like Gossip Girl, it's the book equivalent.
Oh.
So it's about these really rich kind of socialites in London and their relationships, and it's very I can't stop reading, basically.
Okay.
And I'm already on book 3. I think you'd like it, to be honest, Eva. It's very much about like toxic relationships, kind of like Chuck and Blair in a book.
Me and
so
Abby have been watching Gossip Girl. For anyone,
so I'm just living, basically. I'm just living.
Great.
So you said you're on book 3. So sorry, did you say when you started them?
Not long ago. They're not that, I think, because I'm reading on my Kindle as well, and on my Kindle I really race through books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do with a Kindle.
Yeah, I've read like 10 books this year, already on the Kindle.
Already? It's February.
I know. And my aim is usually 50 books a year that I've actually not managed to hit once, but I'm thinking now I've got my Kindle, I might actually reach that goal.
You're gonna race
I think
through
you're
it.
race. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I've only read 1 book so far this year, and it was only 78 pages.
Nice.
That was called "Is Free Will an Illusion?" So it was.
Oh,
It was
wow.
That sounds a lot
non-fiction
more
book.
a lot more substance than what I'm reading.
It was very interesting. I'm not going to go into details because I will not do it justice, but it was a very interesting read, and I do recommend it because it goes into what experiments have been done in around what free will is, and then it talks about how how you can define free will. And if actually it really truly exists, or are we sort of living on instinct, whether that's formed by environmental factors or if you're just like that or whatever, if that's how your DNA is just written. Really
That
interesting.
does sound very interesting. I think that's like the polar opposite of what I've been reading this year. But I will say, though, in defense of trashy romance novels, I think sometimes you really just need that distraction.
Yeah, I like
Oh
I
God,
like
yeah.
to do that, especially if I've not been reading for a while. They're a really good way to
They're
get
such a
back
good
into
escape,
it.
aren't they? Yeah.
Have you had a book on the go, Eva?
Oh yeah, I've got a really good one at the moment. Are any of you watching The Last of Us?
I do want to watch it. I have not started.
So
No, I don't have Sky.
I've been craving like a post-apocalyptic novel.
Oh, you should read The Road if you've not read that.
Oh, I've read that
It's only
at
film.
uni. But my dad recommended me a really old book called Earth Abides. It's a book that was written in the 50s about a mysterious disease that has like killed half the population of the world. But there's a man who has been in the mountains for like over a year, not really seeing anyone, and he gets bitten by a snake and is like forced to come down to get some supplies, and then he comes down and there's no one around. There's just no one. And it's been like a couple of weeks since, he's calling it the great, I don't know, what was it called, like, well, anything. It's been a couple of weeks since things happened, and it's all a bit mysterious. But I'm about 70 pages in and I only started reading it on Monday, so it's brilliant. It's a very dated book.
Yeah, I just
don't think
googled
I
it.
would.
It's from 1949.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So it's very dated. So I wouldn't recommend it to the library because there are some dodgy opinions in there. But
I see.
other than that, if you sort of take it for what it is, it was written in that long ago, and people were a lot more, ignorant than they are now. The actual storyline is brilliant. So yeah, I will. I'll let you know how that goes on. But that's the book I'm reading at the moment.
I think we've got a good range there.
Yeah, definitely.
Trashy, post-apocalyptic, non-fiction.
Yeah.
Heavy
We're
non-fiction.
really covering it all.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's now time to wrap up this episode. So don't forget to check out our playlists on Spotify. You can find lots of good playlists there, which will help you study, particularly our Calm and Epic playlist. You can find us at ULaw Libraries on Spotify. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter for all the latest library news and developments as well there. That's at ULaw Libraries. So I think we've had a jolly time today. Have you guys?
Incredibly jolly.
It's been a nice episode. Always good to chat with you two. I think we'll say goodbye now.